This is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cattles.
All right, we'll get to this Dolphins game coming up in a minute, but first, download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. Also, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Use that code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. All right, we're going to get into the game, but first, a few notes, Greg, from earlier today. Alex Van Pelt met with the media. The first note is Brian Hudson, practice squad center, took all the first team reps yesterday at practice. Should we just pretty much consider it a given that Hudson will start at center on Sunday and Nick Leverett is not going to go? Or is that too much to glean from that?
Yeah, I think that's too much. I do think that he needs some recovery time. I do think that Leverett talked to reporters and indicated that he's going to be okay. And by the way, let me just tell the listeners if I sound a little bit off today. I just got like 3 vaccines yesterday, and I feel like a truck ran over me. So I feel a little bit hungover. So I'm battling, though. Like Nick Leverett, I'm going to be out there on Sunday, ready to go. But I think Leverett's going to end up going. It's not unusual that on a Wednesday, maybe takes a step back. Now I would assume he'll ramp things up today, and then it's all how does he feel on Friday. So that's normally how these things go.
Yeah, I got the flu vaccine yesterday. I'm feeling okay. And I got COVID a couple weeks ago, so I'm good for like 6 months with the COVID stuff. All right, speaking of the offensive line, Greg, I found this interesting. Van Pelt said today that offensive line instability is not going to impact Drake May's timeline. And I tweeted this out a little while ago at Nick C Radio if you want to follow me. I tweeted this out. The messaging, Greg, if you go back, so they've told us that May outplayed Brissett in camp. Then last week, everybody's talking about how May is lighting up practice. They feel like May is ready enough to take over for Jacoby if Jacoby got hurt on the first play this Sunday. And Jacoby, obviously coming off of his worst game on Sunday against San Francisco, if it's not the offensive line, then why is May not playing? Like, at first, to start the season, I would say, well, because May is not as ready as Jacoby, but that's a tough argument to make after Sunday.
Yeah, I hear you, Nick. And I don't want to get too specific on this because I don't want to, reveal my sources or get anybody in trouble. But let me just say that, digging around the team, I was told that May's not ready, that, ideally he's not ready. There are some things, and yes, I'm being intentionally vague. There are some things associated with the offense that he still is working through. So I don't think he's there. I mean, I think it was termed to me that similar to what Rappaport reported on the weekend, I was told he's kind of a ways away. Of course, one more bad hit to Jacoby Brissett and he could be out there. And I think they're going to have to simplify things if he goes out there. And I think it'll be fine. And I do think, similar to what we talked about the other day, Jacoby is not playing well. He's been playing worse by the week. Some of that could be the pressure. But the film isn't going to lie. And, once you get 2 of these games back to back, that's why this game is so important. I mean, not only to Brissett, but Mayo and Van Pelt. To me, Nick, they have to win this game. If they don't win this game, it's going to be big trouble next week. And I do think so that would drop them to 1-4.
Yeah.
I've heard Tom Curran talk about he thinks the timeline is when they're 6 games under 500 or something like that. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think it's more of a mid-season thing for May. But, of course, like we talked about, I mean, Brissett could not get up one of these times. And I'm sure he's dealing with a lot of stuff that we don't know about. because he's so freaking tough. But just in general about Drake, I think some of the stuff last week about how good he looks in practice, I think some of that was a byproduct of the, reporters doing their jobs and asking a lot of questions because there was a long layoff. And what else is there to talk about on this team other than the third overall pick sitting in the garage? But from what I heard, I think physically he's doing well. I would say as far as playing quarterback in this offense, there are some things that they want to see more improvement on before, really giving him, that starting opportunity.
Should have signed a veteran like we talked
Yep.
about earlier in the week. We're going to miss on that. Bad management. So the other guy who I find to be interesting here with this offense as we get ready for the game on Sunday is Kendrick Bourne. He's back at practice yesterday. Everybody was talking up his vibe. Van Pelt said the vibe was different. Bourne just told the media a few moments ago that he's kind of limited right now, so he can't do everything. He then said, well, I can do everything, but I have a count, so I'm just trusting the process. Does Kendrick Bourne play on Sunday limited snaps, or do you think they take at least one more week to get him back on the practice field and see if he continues to get better?
That's a great question. I think, a lot of it would come down to, special teams and sort of depth and things like that. And, does the center position and what's going on there, like Hudson's probably going to be up. Does that affect things? How does that all shake out? I mean, I think ideally Kendrick Bourne gets out there and he plays probably, I don't know, max 20 snaps, get him a few design touches. Now, can Alex Van Pelt actually do that? That's a whole nother topic of discussion. But I think ideally, Kendrick needs to get out there, get back into game action. It's been a long time and just, get his feet wet. And I just think where they are, I think there's a benefit to that where, I'm not really worried about, oh, geez, well, they need a gunner on punt team because of X, Y, and Z. I think it's more important to get Bourne out there because like I talked about the other day, I'm really hoping that once Bourne gets back into the mix, we start seeing some trips with Bourne and Douglas and Polk and sort of to me, that's where the offense, when they're not running the ball, at least a passing offense needs to go through. Van Pelt needs to work some magic off of those three guys.
One more receiver question for you. Van Pelt was asked about Javon Baker today. He said he has the talent to play, but Van Pelt wants to see him line up correctly and run the right routes before giving him more snaps. Are we at the point now, week 5, where we might as well just chalk this up as a lost season for Javon Baker? Are we there yet?
It could be. From what I'm hearing internally, I don't think they're exactly thrilled with him.
Nice.
And this is, awesome. This is, it's funny how all these things that we talk about on the podcast and stuff like that, like from a week ago, we talked about the selfish play on the defense coming out of the Jets game, and all of a sudden it's a storyline this week. And we talked about Javon Baker in the preseason, like, what the hell kind of route is this that he's running in the preseason game? And now it's an issue, all this sort of stuff. It's nice to hear that our observations are in line with what's going on with the team. And I've just heard, I've heard not great things about Javon. He's a young kid and we knew he was immature and there were going to be issues. I never want to bury a kid. NFL players are never static. You might suck one week, but in 2 months you might be a good player because you're stacking success every day. So I don't want to bury him at all, but I think they're trying to show him some tough love and we'll see how he reacts to it and whether he can get back into the mix. But as of right now, why would you play him over like a Kayshon Boutte, who I think, I've been impressed. Another kid who was immature, had some off-field issues coming out. But from what I hear, he's done, all the right things the past couple of years. So I'd much rather reward that than hope and pray on Baker.
Maybe the gambling thing struck fear in him when he got caught on that. and maybe it, they say scared him straight, so to speak. Maybe he woke up and said, I got to stop messing around because my career could be over any moment. Last one, I promise you, on the receiver end. Pop Douglas talked about his frustration, his tantrum. Greg, I was impressed with how Pop handled it. What'd you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. Another thing that we sort of talked about that hadn't become an issue, but it was there on film, and everybody could see it. Him Polk to a lesser extent. I questioned his professionalism, and I think he said that he saw it on film. He was embarrassed. He realizes the way that it looks, and that's the way that it looks. And I was very. Pop's a kid who, I've been impressed with him, the whole time that he's been here. And, being a professional is a big thing. And I think probably Jerod Mayo probably had something to do with it and, talked to him and, related to him, one-on-one. But I thought it was extremely impressive, and it gives me hope. Not that I didn't have hope for Pop, because I do think he's really good, and I do think he needs to become more of a focal point of this offense. But for him to react that way and say he's going to be better, and basically people who are my fans, they don't need to be seeing that. That's really good stuff by Pop. I'm very encouraged.
Big fan of Pop Douglas. I am a big fan of Pop Douglas. All right, let's jump to the defense. For a couple of different things, because DeMarcus Covington also spoke with the media. He said as far as Marte Mapu and Sion Taki go, it sounds like Mapu might be ready to contribute earlier. Doug Kai tweeted this since he was in the defense last year. Covington said the Patriots are still getting to know Taki on the field. Do we see one of those two guys? Do we see both of those guys? If we see one or two of those guys, how much do you think they could play, Greg?
Yeah, I do think guys need to be on a pitch count. I think that Mapu stands a better chance of being part of this game and being part of a package. Make no mistake, they need both guys. With some of the stuff that was apparent on film against the 49ers, the Patriots were slow. When you're slow at middle linebacker, you're a slow defense, and that's out there on film for everybody. I mean, look, it's not Jelani Tavai's fault that he had to be put in that position. He was doing his best for the team. It's just not his thing, having to be 25 yards down the field and carrying Juwan Jennings or Deebo Samuel down the middle of the field. I mean, he's not going to look good doing that. But I do think, I'm hopeful that Taki can at least come in and do some special teams and be a depth guy at linebacker. I mean, his bag is kind of, being a smaller, quicker linebacker who I think can help in some of their sub packages. And Mapu, if he can stay on the field, ideally, he's a middle of the field safety linebacker hybrid that can replace a Tavai and be in there and sort of be the pass defender down the middle of the field. And so, I'm hopeful that both of those guys can start to get their feet wet, similar to Bourne, because I do think they can help a lot, with some of the issues on this defense. And they can also, both of them are also pretty good blitzers and can come from the second level. And I think that's something they need to do, along with, what I wrote for today was, and we talked about it last pod, the Patriots need to start playing more man coverage. Their zone coverages have been terrible compared to last year. And look, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle aren't the ideal guys to do it against, but you kind of want to make Snoop Huntley make some throws, which we'll talk about. But I think all those guys can help the Patriots do that in terms of playing man coverage and also rushing the passer.
Last one from Covington. I want you to let me know if you agree with this or disagree with this statement. Covington told the media, this is from your buddy Mike Giardi on Twitter. Covington says the Patriots are, quote unquote, winning the rush and causing quarterbacks to escape the pocket. That's where the trap rush has failed, meaning others haven't kept the quarterback caged in. Do you think, Greg, that the Patriots have been winning the rush, and have they been winning the rush enough to your eyes?
I would say it's been inconsistent. I'm not going to totally say he's wrong. Certainly there are times, where it's just not working in tandem. Both the initial rush and the quote unquote trap rush. But it needs to be a lot more consistent. I mean, I do think Keon White is winning his rushes. I think Ekwale's done a good job at times. Dietrich Wise has done a good job at times, but they just have to be a lot more in sync. I mean, I do think they're going to need to start blitzing more. The 4-man rush against some of these teams is just not, working out, but we'll have to see which direction they go.
All right, we'll get into this Dolphins game, but first, Greg's going to get into his prize picks this week.
PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in, like I have the past 2 weeks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Okay, there's a lot of pressure building. 2 straight weeks of hitting my PrizePicks. I will just say up front, if I was just playing, I would probably sit out this game because I don't feel great about anything. I think these are 2 teams that I don't know what the hell's going to happen on Sunday. And I think PrizePicks also doesn't know what the hell's going to happen on Sunday because their options for Dolphins and Patriots players were limited this week. But I did make a pick. And so we'll see if we can make it 3 weeks in a row. I only did 3 picks, and there's no free square this week, but I did 3 picks, $20 to win $280. I did Jalen Polk more than 26.5 receiving yards. He had 30, I think, last week. Every week he's been getting a little bit more. Now, if Jalen Ramsey is on him all day long, don't feel great about it.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, can they just put Tyquan Thornton on and just let Jalen Ramsey run down the field? I mean, I just think they got to get touches for Polk. I went Tyreek Hill more than a half rushing and receiving TDs. I was looking back his history with the Patriots. Of course, different head coach, different defensive play caller. He's pretty much averaged a touchdown a game against the Patriots. And they are running a lot of their offense through Tyreek. They're getting him touches, and I don't feel great about the discipline on the Patriots. So I think, him or Waddle are going to bust one, whether it's running or receiving. And Antonio Gibson, over more than a half rushing and receiving TDs. I'm going with, Ramondre Stevenson, probably going to sit a little bit. Gibson's going to get more touches. I can't see down on the goal line them putting Stevenson in unless Gibson is tired to all of a sudden, let's put the fumbler in on 1st and goal in the 5. So,
roll him out.
And I would really, really like to see Antonio Gibson get more action in the pass game, like we saw the 50-yarder late in the game. He's a matchup issue, and I think that can be exploited. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game.
Greg's so excited about his PrizePicks, he punched his microphone.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at this matchup on Sunday. Let's start with Alex Van Pelt, his brain trust, and how they might attack this Miami defense. What are you thinking, Greg?
Yeah, so a couple of things stood out, watching some film. I know the Dolphins are having injury issues. They just lost Jalen Phillips, so they're probably going to have Chop Robinson out there. He's a rookie, right?
Yes.
Rookie out of Penn State. Yep. First round, 21st overall. I mean, good player. You just wonder, you might be able to take advantage of him, on the edge. They have the Dolphins have I didn't know if you noticed this, Nick, but they have a cornerback named Storm Duck.
Yes. he made a play against Tennessee. I'm trying to remember what play it was, but I remember seeing on the back of his jersey Duck, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep, Storm Duck is out there along with Jalen Ramsey and Cater Kuhu. They have the all name team out there.
Storm Duck and Cater Kuhu. Love it.
Jordan Poyer, safety, didn't practice the other day. We'll see if he can make it. He hasn't been playing well. Javon Holland, of course, number 8, is one of the best safeties in the game. I like their defensive line. Calais Campbell, dude, that dude is still going and still playing good ball. Seiler in the middle, 92. He's always had good games against the Patriots. Ogba. I do think this is a team. This is a good defense. They are. I mean, it's not going to be easy. I mean, I do think the Patriots need to get back to running the ball. And like we talk about pretty much ad nauseum, just be like, look, I don't think they have a great pass rush.
No.
This has to be a premium where they say, we're not getting the quarterback hit, at least not in the first quarter. Like, we're going to max protect. We're going to do certain things. Like, just let's try to get our feet under us before we get a little bit crazy. So, I think they can run the ball. They don't blitz a lot. You just, they have some ball hawks. So Jacoby Brissett can't be laying the ball out there or else they're going to pounce on it.
I mean, you got to love Ramsey when you watch him. He made a couple of plays against Tennessee where he just downhill gets to the line. He's playing pretty much like a defensive end, and he just streaks down and just smokes a running back. He plays with intensity. They don't even really throw his way.
No.
They don't even try. Calvin Ridley was erased. He was non-existent in the game on Monday night. So I mean, Ramsey's good. Campbell, as you said, Seiler is good. The matchup to me, Greg, is the interior offensive line with Layden Robinson having issues in pass protection. Sidy So just getting back, had a rough week last week. Nick Leverett, your backup center, if he plays. Campbell is a nightmare. As you said, still, he is 6th in football when it comes to pass rush win rate from defensive tackles. And so he's still playing good football. A couple things, though, that I noticed about the defensive tackles. Number one, Campbell, he's playing, he's not playing a ton of snaps. He played last week 54% of the snaps. It was actually he's played 54% of the snaps this year. Last week, season high 36 snaps. Short week. So they're managing him. How much is he actually going to play? Can you go a little no huddle, hurry up, and try to keep him off the field from time to time? I think the Patriots could mess with that if they trust their offensive line and their quarterback to be able to run the operation. The other thing, I don't know if you noticed, but Zach Seiler, he's another dude. As you said, he's made some plays. He's top 20 in pass rush win rate. So you got 2 defensive tackles on this defense, 2 of the top 20 interior defensive linemen when it comes to pass rush. That could be a problem in this game, but I don't know if you saw it. I saw it. Seiler tends to get very aggressive at times, and I thought that Tennessee took advantage of that. They took advantage of that on a touchdown. I thought it was a nice play call by Callahan where they had Spears and the Wildcat, and they ran like a fake jet sweep to Pollard, and Spears kept it, and Seiler just was like all gas, no brakes towards Spears. It just like arm tackle, whirling dervish, 95 miles an hour. And Spears did one little move to the left, and Seiler went flying right by him.
Where'd who go?
There was another play. There was another play in the Tennessee game where, again, Seiler just got caught. But he's just like streaking. He looked like Uche last week on the Mason touchdown run. He's just like streaking down. So I do think they can take advantage of Seiler's aggressiveness downhill if they pick the right spots. And I agree with you on Gibson. This run defense for Miami is difficult. They're just doing a really good job when it comes to stuffing runs and all of that. But I thought Spears gave Miami a little bit of an issue.
Yep.
And Spears is similar. Spears is quicker than Gibson. Yep. But Gibson is similar to Spears. And I think Gibson, he has the opportunity with his elusiveness and that quickness. I think they could find some opportunities against the run defense. It's not going to be easy. I agree with you. The defense is good. But I do think they can find some opportunities there. All right, before we get to the Patriots defense against this Dolphins offense, Greg, tell them all about game time.
It's that time of year, football season. It's nice and cool outside. Yeah, I got to get out to a game. College.
Tomorrow's going to be like 80, by the way. Tomorrow's going to be like tomorrow's going to be 75 to 80.
What the hell's going on? So, I mean, get out of the house and get to a football game, whether it's college
Right.
or pro, and make sure you use Game Time to do it. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I love the all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front, no surprise fees at checkout like those other rat bastards ticketing app. Seat views, get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. That's a must for me. I wonder how the deals are. I assume there's pretty good deals for Dolphins Patriots this weekend, so make sure you check it out. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
All right. Pat's defense. Blown assignments, gave up some big plays against San Francisco last weekend. Kyle Duggar likely not to be out there. Your thoughts about how they match up against a Miami offense that frankly, Greg, going in, I think the biggest question to me is the Dolphins offense looked absolutely lost on Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't been good leading into Monday night, but we also have to understand and appreciate the fact that they've played 3 quarterbacks in 4 games, and Huntley pretty much just got there. So the first question before you get into breaking it down, I want to ask you is, if you're Covington, because Covington said today, look, I'm not gonna get fooled pretty much by the tape on Monday. They still have got Hill, they've got Waddle, they've got fast running backs. If you're preparing for this game as Covington is, and you look at Monday, how much do you say to yourself, all right, what happened on Monday was kind of a thrown together plan with Huntley, and now that they've had a full week and he's, could they change some of what we saw on Monday, and should the Patriots anticipate a little bit more exciting of an offense from the Dolphins on Sunday?
Well, here, I'll put it this way, Nick. Watching the Dolphins on film, Mike McDaniel still does a lot of really good stuff. There's, all the motion. He moves Tyreek around. He'll be a running back. He'll be in, fast motion. The Dolphins lead the league in motion at the snap. We talked about it the other day. The Patriots are last. I think the Dolphins are over 50% motion at the snap, which to me, it stresses the defense. And right now, the Patriots aren't exactly sound in what they're doing. We've seen in every game, we've seen busts. And I do think watching the film, there was it's hard to explain, but Mike McDaniel was doing a lot of his stuff, especially in the ground game. I do think that there were a lot of opportunities there. I think if he had a better quarterback, I think the Dolphins, would have done some more good things in that game. I thought they came out. It got worse as the game went on. You had freaking snaps before the quarterback was ready. They looked like a crap show as the game went on. But the bones of the offense of being really good and being explosive, it's there. This is my issue with the Dolphins and where they are right now. And I know McDaniels is getting a lot of heat. Their personnel is getting a lot of heat for not having a better backup for Tua. I understand all that. All that stuff's valid. But to me, this is the whole matchup of the game. I think the Dolphins' offensive line stinks out loud. They are horrendous. Patrick Paul, who we talked about, he was in that group of offensive tackles, bottom of the second round to the top of the third before the Patriots took Caden Wallace. I think he went to Houston. He was one of those guys on the list. And I don't know if Taron Armstead's supposed to be out there. Of course he's hurt. This is what happens. Everybody clamors for, let's sign this old guy who breaks down after 2 games every single year. Let's get this guy. And then you're left with, a rookie who's not ready to play. Patrick Paul looked awful on film. And, Robert Jones, the left guard, has a nice reputation. I think he stinks. Eichenberg, the right guard, he's okay. Austin Jackson, the right tackle, has always stunk. It just the lack of athletic ability and cohesiveness. to me, that's what's holding the Dolphins back. It's not the play calling. It's not the quarterback, even though, Huntley could do more. It's the offensive line. They're a complete disaster. Mike McDaniel is trying to get, as opposed to Alex Van Pelt, he is trying to call plays, scheme up around the offensive line, and he's doing some really good stuff, but it's not working because they're that bad. So to me, the Patriots have to own the Dolphins offensive line, and I think they should. I think Keon White's going to have a huge game. I think all those guys are going to have a huge game. I worry about Uche on the edge. I don't like the idea of him playing. Hopefully Jennings is back this week because I'd really much rather have him out there and just let Uche be a pass rusher. But to me, if the Patriots are going to win this game, they are going to win the battle against a Dolphins offensive line. They should dominate.
Yeah, Armstead, I think, concussion. He was limited at yesterday's practice, Wednesday's practice. Looks like he could be on track to return on Sunday. We'll see. I agree with you about Patrick Paul. He was a train wreck. The thing that stood out to me is that I think the Patriots can play some games if they want to every once in a while. Let's see the right tackle. Is that Arthur Jackson? Is that his name?
Austin Jackson.
Austin Jackson. He got absolutely torched twice when Tennessee had some simulated pressure. And they totally messed with the right side of the line. And he looked like he was lost. And the second one was late in the fourth quarter, which resulted in the safety. I mean, he was totally confused. He had no idea what to do. So I think Covington can play some games up front. He doesn't have to do it a ton, but I do think they can catch Miami at opportune times by screwing around a little bit with, simulated pressure, having defensive linemen drop back and send a blitzer from, safety or corner. They can mess around with some of those games. They are having, when I think of a Mike McDaniel team, Greg, it's similar to Shanahan. It's similar to Ben Johnson in Detroit. Running football. Sean McVay, running football.
Mm-hmm.
They need their run game, and their run game has been trash this year. They are getting murdered in the run game. So because they're not having a great time running the football, they are just miserable when it comes to third down offense. And so, when you look at it, Miami's 25th in football on third down offense. They're worse on third down defense. I do believe so. So when you look at some of these, run game issues, it's the absolute opposite. Miami is really good on third down defense, terrible on third down offense. So, you've got to be able to slow down that run game. And I think, as you mentioned earlier, Tyreek Hill on the edges, you're going to see jet sweeps. Miami loves to run outside the tackles. They'll throw a bunch of toss plays out there. But if it's Huntley, what I'm thinking is, if you watch the game on Monday and it wasn't just we're not sure about what we're going to do because Huntley just got into town, they really played it safe with Huntley. There weren't many throws at all beyond 15 yards. It was like watching the Patriots offense. And when Huntley threw it deep, he was completely inaccurate. He almost threw a pick in the end zone. He underthrew Tyreek Hill. Hill was wide open again in the second half, and he missed him. He threw it like 3 yards too deep. He tried to throw to the sideline on the left side to Tyreek Hill again. I don't know if he was trying to go back shoulder, but he was completely inaccurate. So a lot of the stuff that Miami was running on Monday was short stuff, quick stuff. And, I just think if the Patriots get a little bit more aggressive in that front seven and they play 5 guys on the line every once in a while, if they play that more often, and they decide, as you said, I would put Gonzalez on Waddle 1-on-1, and I would double Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And I'd say, all right, we're going to go after Huntley a little bit. They're not running the football well. We're going to be aggressive up front, and we're going to trust our cornerbacks because this offensive line will collapse. Huntley will make a mistake, and he can't beat us deep consistently. So that's kind of how I would do it if I were Covington, but obviously I'm not. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
A couple quick updates on the Dolphins. Just seeing some reports. So Terron Armstead and cornerback Kendall Fuller were present at practice today. So they're optimistic that they could play. Mostert was also back out there. He hasn't played since the first game of the season. Poyer was not out there. They are thinking about activating Odell Beckham Jr. For this game. So yeah, that's just sort of a little update. Veteran Marcus May would sub for Poyer if he can't go. Yeah.
Before we get to the pick for this week, I just want to highlight this because Dakota Randall, and I know you just reposted this, Dakota Randall quote tweeted Greg's tweet from earlier in the week showing that crazy Jabril Peppers play when the Patriots are getting smoked and Peppers just doesn't give up on the play and he chases Mason down. I mean, it's just go to Greg's Twitter. It's really why I will always and forever love Jabril Peppers. He's like my favorite player on this team. And apparently Jerod Mayo showed that play to the entire team as an example of like, look at this guy. This is what we want. And Peppers said about the play, it just comes naturally for me. Ever since I tore my ACL, you never take no play. That's double negative. You never take a play for granted. That play didn't even matter. They kind of had the game won already, but it's just like the final whistle. Try to lead by example. I think Jabril Peppers is a national treasure. All right, before we get to the pick this week, I want to remind you, $50 at BSJ for the year. Bedard Giardi doing great work as always over there. Also, PrizePicks. Greg's told you he's proud as a peacock, walking around with his chest out. We'll see if it continues this weekend. CLNS is that code, $50 instantly when you play $5. And of course, our friends at Game Time. If you want to check out the Dolphins and Patriots this week, this Sunday, you can go use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase if you haven't used Game Time yet. So thanks to all of those who help the program. All right, spread. Patriots giving 1.5 to the Dolphins. The over-under is 36.5. The weather, 67 degrees and sunny, 6-mile-per-hour winds. So the weather is supposed to be absolutely gorgeous.
Weatherman.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous on Sunday. I'm looking for a full-time job. You never know. Put me in front of a green screen. Crazy shit can happen. All right, so let's get to the pick. I will pick first because you picked the last 2 weeks. I will also point out that so far this season, Greg is 2-1-1 against the spread. I am 3-1 against the spread. We are both, I believe, 3-1 straight up.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be an ugly game. Shocker. And if you're going to the game on Sunday, do not anticipate lots of offense. To me, the difference is the Patriots are home. The Patriots are better in the red zone. And I think Huntley will turn the football over at least once, and I think Brissett will take care of the ball. I'm going with the Patriots. My final score is 17-13. I don't think either team reaches 20, so I'm going 17-13. Patriots win the game by 4. They improve to 2-3 on the season. Greg, what do you think?
So, yeah, I think this could be ugly, and this could be really ugly. And I just want to bring people back in time a little bit because this game could it reminds me of this one and possibly what we see. So, 1988. I would have been 14 years old, and I was a Dolphins fan. My dad had season tickets, and we went to. There was a Sunday night game, November 20th, 1998. Dolphins hosting the Patriots. It was Sunday night, start time 8:00 at the Joe Robbie Stadium at the time. I remember. So my dad, because through his work, he had club levels tickets. So we were in that at the time. You remember it was like the aqua seats at Pro Player or Joe Robbie Stadium, and we're there. And next to us, like a section over, was Jimmy Johnson's University of Miami football team. I think that was like Daniel Stubbs. Probably, I don't know if Alonzo Highsmith was on that team, but they were about to play in the national championship game. In like a month, they were going to play in the Orange Bowl, and I think they won. And then Johnson went to the pros. So this game was absolutely freaking horrible. I mean, this was on national television. It was like ESPN or whatever it was. It was horrible. It was at halftime. It was 3-3.
Great.
The Patriots, thanks to two, I've never even heard of him, Jason Starovsky field goals, won 6-3. Tony Franklin kicked for the Dolphins. Barefooted Tony Franklin, who used to kick for the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. At halftime, the football was so bad that Jimmy Johnson got his team and left. They left because he didn't want his team watching that. So part of me wants to pick 6-3 again, but I'm not going to. Similar to you, I think there will be some offense manufactured in this game. I like the Patriots. I'm too afraid to think about the alternative, them being 1-4 and losing to this ass Dolphins team right now. So I'm going Patriots 17, Dolphins 14.
Oh, I got 17-13. Greg's got 17-14. All right, my dog's losing her mind. She wants to eat.
All right.
So I got to run. He's Greg. I'm Nick. Everybody enjoyed the game on Sunday. We're back early next week to discuss what is certainly, if you just listen to Greg Bedard, going to be a fantastic and exciting football game. We just cannot wait for this. Until then, be well.